Hey everyone, welcome back for another deep dive. And today we're going to be tackling a story that's both incredibly personal and really powerful.
Yeah.
It's Chris Piorkowski's journey as he navigates his wife Lisa's battle with brain cancer.
Wow.
We're going to be exploring excerpts from his book, Journey from Heartache to Hope.
Okay.
And I have to say, I was reaching for the tissues a few times while reading this one.
You know, what struck me is how he weaves these incredibly personal and heart-wrenching moments
Yeah.
with these broader reflections on the healthcare system faith, what it means to truly support someone through a life-altering illness.
And we're dropped right into the thick of it all, with Lisa starting treatment at Centra Health in Lynchburg, Virginia. The doctors suggest Avastin injections.
Right.
And it's experimental, which already,
Yeah, a lot of unknowns.
yeah, it comes with a lot of unknowns.
Right. Avastin was initially developed to treat other types of cancers, and they were exploring it as a potential treatment for brain cancer at the time.
Right.
While it offered a possible benefit, the research was still ongoing and the risks were significant. It's the kind of decision where you're weighing hope against uncertainty,
Yeah,
and that's got to be incredibly tough.
absolutely. And then on top of that, they get hit with the financial blow. Chris was initially told the injection would cost around $7,000,
Yeah,
which is already a huge amount.
that's a lot of money, yeah.
But then the first bill comes in, and it's almost $17,000.
Wow. That discrepancy right there speaks volumes about the lack of transparency in medical billing.
Yeah,
It's a situation so many families find themselves in, facing this incredibly complex and often confusing system, especially when dealing with experimental treatments.
right.
The financial burden can be just crippling.
Yeah.
And it's something that Chris grapples with throughout the book.
It's like one punch after another.
Yeah.
Insurance covers a small portion, but Chris is still left with a staggering $130,000 bill for just 8 injections.
Wow.
Add to that the mounting hospital bills, emergency room visits.
Right.
It's just overwhelming. It makes you wonder how anyone is supposed to make these incredibly difficult medical decisions when they're also facing, potential financial ruin.
Exactly. And this is where we see those larger systemic issues that Chris kind of weaves into his personal narrative. He doesn't shy away from the harsh realities of the healthcare system and how it impacts patients and families.
Yeah.
He talks about the constant worry, the feeling of being trapped,
Yeah.
the struggle to simply keep up with the mounting costs.
Right.
It's a stark reminder of the broader challenges within
Yeah.
our healthcare system, even amidst this deeply personal story.
And you'd think with everything going on, he'd at least have like a strong support system to lean on.
Right.
But that's not the case.
Yeah.
He describes his relationship with Lisa's mother as incredibly strange. There's this moment where Lisa's mom prioritizes a senior citizen dance contest over being there for her daughter,
Wow.
which just floored me.
That's a moment that really highlights the complexities of family dynamics during times of crisis. We often expect loved ones to rally around each other,
Yeah.
but the reality is often far more complicated.
Right.
Chris is essentially left to shoulder the burden of care almost entirely on his own,
Yeah.
managing Lisa's needs while also working and dealing with all the financial stress.
It's heartbreaking. You've got the medical team focused on Lisa's physical health, but there's this gaping emotional hole
Yeah.
that Chris is left to fill.
Right.
And as Lisa's condition worsens, it only intensifies.
Of course.
There's this incredibly raw and powerful moment in the book where Chris has to ask Lisa about her burial wishes.
Oh, wow.
He talks about how unprepared he felt for that conversation, how he wished someone had given him some guidance.
You can really see how much that conversation weighs on him. And, it makes you think about how valuable it would be to have resources
Yeah.
that guide people through these kinds of difficult but necessary conversations. That shouldn't be something that people have to face alone and unprepared.
Absolutely. It's clear that Chris is just trying to do right by Elisa, even when facing this immense emotional weight. But even amidst the grief and the uncertainty, he doesn't give up hope. They decide to get a second opinion from Duke University,
Right.
clinging to that sliver of possibility that maybe, just maybe, there's a miracle cure out there.
It's a perfectly human response, isn't it?
Yeah.
When faced with a devastating diagnosis, we often grasp at any glimmer of hope. It's understandable, and it speaks to Chris's deep love for Lisa and his unwillingness to give up.
Yeah.
But it also leads them on this emotional roller coaster.
Because as we know, the news from Duke is devastating.
Yeah.
The doctor tells them there are no viable options. that treatment is unlikely to be effective.
It's a crushing blow.
It's a crushing blow.
That forces them to face a very difficult question.
Yeah.
What happens next?
What happens next?
Right.
And that's when the decision to move Lisa to hospice care comes into play.
Mm-hmm.
And I think this feels like a significant turning point in this story.
Okay.
And I think it would be helpful if you could shed some light on what hospice care actually entails for our listeners.
Sure. Hospice care focuses on providing comfort and support to patients with terminal illnesses.
Okay.
The emphasis shifts from curative treatment to ensuring that the patient's remaining time is as peaceful and pain-free as possible.
Okay.
It's often provided at home, but there are also dedicated hospice facilities.
Right.
The decision to transition to hospice care is a very personal one,
Right.
often involving discussions with the medical team, the patient, and their family.
And Chris talks about how difficult those discussions were.
Yeah.
Especially considering the bureaucratic challenges he faced.
Mm-hmm.
Finding a caregiver, managing medications, dealing with social services.
Right.
It's all incredibly overwhelming.
Yeah.
And you can just feel the weight of responsibility that he carried.
He even mentions getting in trouble for leaving Lisa unattended while he was working.
Oh, wow.
Which highlights the gaps in support systems for families in these situations.
Right.
It's like he's caught a system that's ill-equipped to provide the kind of holistic support that's needed during end-of-life care.
It's a relentless pressure cooker.
Yeah.
And amidst all this, he paints such a vivid picture of Lisa's declining health,
Right.
her fading memory, the increasing pain, and his unwavering care. There's this one detail that really stuck with me. Chris falls down the stairs while rushing to get Lisa her morphine.
He describes it as a moment of divine intervention.
Yeah.
Which is interesting because it's where we start to see the role of faith in his journey. It becomes this anchor for him, a source of strength and solace in the darkest of times.
Yeah.
It's something he leans on more and more as Elisa's condition deteriorates.
It's like his faith becomes a lifeline.
Yeah.
Especially as the morphine stops working and they call for medical assistance. Initially, they're told that Lisa will be transferred to the ER.
Okay.
But instead, she ends up at the assisted living facility.
It's another instance where the system seems to fail them.
Right.
This sense of being lost,
Ah.
not knowing where to turn or who to ask for help.
Right.
Chris feels helpless as he watches Elisa slip away, caught between wanting to do more and being told to accept the inevitable.
And I think that's why we'll pick up in part 2 of our deep dive.
Okay.
With Elisa's final days and the emotional roller coaster that Chris continues to navigate.
Yeah.
It's a powerful and poignant story that I think will stay with us long after we finish this episode.